Relax, relax.
Yeah.
We're all Brazilian here, okay?
Okay. Welcome, everybody. I'm very happy to stay here with you. I'm very, very, very glad to stay with Ricardo. Thank you to accept our invite, and Luigi, my old friend. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for all people that attended this meeting. And let's start. Today we'll talk about international career, and Débora is our host. So Débora, thank you for
Thank
stay
you, my
here with
dear.
me today.
Okay. Hold
And
my hand.
okay, and stay free to start. Okay.
Okay, dear. Okay, so good evening. Hi, for the students that are here. Hi, Ricardo. It's
Hello,
really
Deborah.
difficult to call you Ricardo. You know, I'm trying to call you Ricardo because Ricardo is an old friend and I call him Ricardinho.
Okay.
Hi, Luigi. How are you? Nice to
Hi.
meet you.
Nice to meet you.
It's nice to be here with you. So, guys, today we are going to talk about international career and the steps to get there, okay? So I will start with a question here, and you guys are going to answer while I am asking, okay? So be free to talk as much as you can and solve our questions here or doubts, okay?
Okay.
Let's see.
If 1 minute, if some people have some question, please put in the chat, and we'll send for our Ricardo
Our
and
guests,
Luigi.
okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Tell us about your career. Okay, where do you work? How's your career path has been till now? Let's start with Ricardo and then Luigi, okay?
Okay. So hello, everybody. I hope you guys can hear me. Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, good to see you, Deborah. Long time, and nice to meet you, Luigi, or Google meet you, Luigi. So my name is Ricardo Diaz. I live in New York City. More precisely in Brooklyn. It's one of the 5 boroughs of New York City. And I work as a project manager at Goldman Sachs, which is a financial company, an investment bank, for the last 6 years. My international career started in 2007, so 13 years ago. I was working at Citibank Brazil, Citibank São Paulo at that point in time. And I got transferred to Fort Lauderdale in Florida, to the Citibank regional office. And even though I was there officially living in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, my main project was in Mexico City. So I was actually spending most of my time in Mexico City. Like on average, every month, 3 weeks I was in Mexico. To a point that I recall that sometimes I was going to the hotel in Mexico, the staff of the hotel would know me by my first name. And when I was going sometimes to my condo over there in Florida, the doorman had to call my wife and say, hey, there's this Brazilian guy here that's claiming he lives here. Do you know him? I never saw him before. So this was like for 2 years, I was like Florida, Mexico, and then I became responsible for like projects for all Latin America. So I was traveling a lot, traveling to Argentina, traveling to Brazil, Mexico again, until like I got this offer to move to New York. So there was a new position in Citibank New York. It was to work in some regulatory projects, some new regulations coming to the US. And that was a big change because for the first time I was going to be working pretty much for the United States, only with like folks of the global Citibank, not anymore like Brazil, Mexico. So no more Portuguese, no more Spanish, no more Portuñol. So it was a big change. And another thing was like this role required me to actually be like in many meetings with the other banks, with the other financial institutions. Some of the meetings with actually like a bunch of lawyers from other banks. And so at the beginning, I have to say it was a little bit challenging, but then I was able to deliver that project. And then I stayed there, Citibank, for a few more years, got my green card, and then eventually got an offer from Goldman Sachs. And then I moved to Goldman Sachs, where I have been since then.
Okay. Really nice, Ricardo. Thank you. Luigi, what about you? How was
Okay.
it for you?
So, thank you for having me here. Can you hear me well?
Yes, really nice.
Okay, good. So, my international career started at Ford Motor Company in 2012, when I had a chance to travel to Germany to lead a prototype build in Cologne City. And I was there for 3 months. Okay, so this was my first international experience. And on 2016, also at Ford Motor Company, leading a prototype build as well. I had a chance to stay in the US for 3 months, and it was also a very good opportunity for me. And so on 2019, I decided to really invest in my international career, and I decided to gather some documents to recognize my Italian citizenship. So at that time, I had an experience, I had a good level of English, but I didn't have time. So on March of last year, I was fired. So I had all the time to invest on and get my Italian citizenship. So I decided to move to Italy, and I went to Italy on June 2019 until November 2019. And then I started applying for a job there while I was recognizing my Italian citizenship. So basically, this is my international, let's say, experience. And since January 2020, where I got the job here in Northern Ireland, in the United Kingdom, where I'm very happy to be here. And so far, so good. So basically, this is my overall international experience.
Okay, really nice. So these were your first steps. And you told me about your English. And I want to ask you how important fluency in a foreign language is when you want to develop an international career.
Should I go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So Deborah, I think the question here is like how we define fluency, right? So do you
Globish, it's nice.
Yeah. because like do you need to know the language perfectly in terms of like vocabulary, grammar, and pronounce every single word without
No,
an accent?
actually you're talking about Globish. You know,
Yeah.
the understood, and that's the business language.
Right. So yeah, so my point was like more like, you know, you don't need like to be like to know everything like in detail, everything perfectly, and not have an accent, because, you know, to be very honest with you guys, right, I'm here for 13 years, and I know I still have an accent, and you know what? I think it's pretty cool. It's awesome to have an accent, because it shows a little bit about your roots, right? It shows like your history. It shows where you come from, right? And when I'm working at Goldman Sachs, I notice that the majority of the people, they have an accent, right? They're coming from different places. It's a global bank, right? And that's not really what should like be like a blocker for you to start speaking and construct your career. Now, what I think is important is for you to have like a good foundation of the English language that allows you to understand things based on the context. So you hear like a sentence, there's a word there that you maybe don't know for sure, but because of the context, you're able to figure out what people are talking about, or you're able to like ask questions, right, in a way that you can understand like the meaning of that word. Sometimes in a very natural way, right? Like just like when you speak in Portuguese, and somebody says something a word that you never heard before, you can say, "I think you mean this," right? Or "Did you mean that?" And then you start like getting that understanding and evolving, right? So I think that's what's important, and I think we should never shy away from speaking and learning, because that's how you evolve. If you don't speak, you're not going to evolve. Actually, it's going, you're going to start forgetting your English. So get out there, start at the foundation, and use like your international career to develop even further your English so that you can advance even more in your career.
Yeah,
nice, really nice. Let me just tell my students, I always say that, because they want to speak perfectly without an accent. And guys, we're Brazilian, so an accent, it's not that important. The way that we say, so we must be understood, and we have to understand them. Thank you very much. And you, Luigi?
Yes, and people understand that you are foreigner. They will try to help you and be with you and explain the things. Sometimes they speak not so fast so you can understand. So it's not a big deal to ask a question if you don't know what they said. So I believe that English is very important, no doubt about it. But there are other skills that you have to fight for a job abroad. So at the end of the day, you need to succeed in the interview. You need to show that you can develop a good work. You can do things that add value to the organization. So this is the other skills that you don't have, that you can't forget. So I think based on the question you made, I think English for sure is very important, but as I said, there are many other skills that at the end of the day you have to balance, and they have to be in a good, let's say, level in overall.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Really nice.
Okay, Débora, we have a question here. I think it's possible to make this question, and then you continue.
Okay. Go on.
Yes, João Paulo asked about how is be a Brazilian abroad? How you feeling to be a Brazilian? How the people think about you, about Brazil?
You wanna go first, Luigi?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go first. Sometimes I live here in Northern Ireland, and people sometimes get confused Brazil with Argentina.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. So I knew a guy that's asking me, "Oh, Brazil is in Europe," and oh no, come on, no. So it's funny sometimes, in my region here, that's it's not in the biggest city that is Belfast. So people sometimes don't know very well about Brazil. Okay? So when you listen radio, you see that especially before the coronavirus, I was like, come on, nobody talk about Brazil. I thought I would hear more about Brazil. People like, who knows really Brazil, like the Brazilian, they like to talk with us. They feel that we are friendly people. I think it's nice to be Brazilian outside Brazil. I think it's really nice.
Yeah,
Okay,
I agree. I agree. I would say, like, there are like moments in the past where I felt that, there was more recognition about the good things about Brazil. Especially when we're like doing better on soccer, for example.
Okay.
So people would come and ask about Ronaldo. Right now things have changed a little bit, right? Like, for example, my daughter's school, they have this event called Around the World, where the international parents organize like things about each country. And to my surprise, last year, the country that was showing soccer, football, was France, not Brazil, because they're seeing like France as now the country of the soccer, not Brazil anymore. And I think there's also a difference between like when you talk about like just people like you're traveling and you meet somebody quickly, just an acquaintance, right? Usually it's a good conversation. They ask like good things about Brazil, or just like that stuff about Carnaval, soccer, Brazilian churrasco, things like that. But when you start like living in a country for many years, and you make friends, and sometimes you're criticizing the U.S. to Americans, they also feel that they can also criticize Brazil, and they say things, and they ask what's going on in Brazil right now with the coronavirus, and it's like ask you like tough questions, right? So but I think it's fair, because that's how you start like conversation through dialogue, and how you learn, because no country is perfect, right?
Yes, be a Brazilian, it's an icebreaker. When you said I'm Brazilian, the people said, "Wow, Brazilian!" Nobody say, "Okay,
Yeah.
it's Brazilian." No,
Yeah,
wow, Brazilian.
you're right. You're right. It's an icebreaker. Yeah, you're right.
That's nice for us. Okay, as we're talking about being Brazilian abroad, I want to ask you, can you tell us about the difficulties? Can you tell us about a few challenges or difficulties that you faced?
Well, there's so many, right? It's I don't know even how to start, to be honest. I think, let me put it this way, right? Like, I could tell like a bunch of stories, things that happened to me, or things that happened to people I know. Some are very funny, by the way. But I think what I'm gonna say is more like, it's going to be like more generic. It's going to be like more, I think it's very important, right? When you it's like working abroad, when you're traveling, when you visit like a different culture, that you come like with a very open mindset to understand that new culture, right? The same way that nobody likes, imagine that you're in Brazil and there's like, I don't know, like a gringo there, like somebody from another country, and everything you show him or her is comparing to his country. Oh, in the US, we do this. In the US, we do that, right? Or saying things like, for example, oh, the picanha is better than your steak. I think these things we should, I would say, like, we should definitely avoid. You don't want to be that person, right, saying that all the time. Oh, in Brazil, I did this, I did that. So come with an open mind. Be humble to learn about the new culture. But at the same time, if you want to advance your career, also be bold to showcase what you know, right? So it's very interesting, because sometimes I observe like, and this, I've seen in Brazilians, it happened to myself. I seen like in other countries from South America, people like to talk a lot about their countries as the best countries in the world with the best things, but when it's to talk about themselves, do you know this? They're like, well, I think I know, right? They are not as articulate as an American, for example, right? So I think we need to try to get that balance, like where you're like, you are humble about the culture to learn more, but at the same time, you're bold about yourself so that you can like showcase what you know.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ricardo. And you, Luigi?
Well, the challenge that the biggest challenge that I faced here is the accent that Irish people have. It's very different than we are used to here. Different than
Do you deal with Indians?
What?
Do you deal with Indians?
Oh, sometimes.
It's a big deal, you know, their accent, it's something that it's really difficult to understand.
Yes, but with Indians, I'm used to work with Indian since I was at Ford. So for me, I think it's easier to understand Indian than the Irish. I can tell you guys, it's very, very different. And for me, this was the biggest challenge. The other challenge that I faced here is the lunchtime. Here, people don't stop to have a meal and spend 50 minutes during the day with your coworker to talk about how was your weekend, football. You bring your sandwich, lunch, sometimes in front of your computer, and if you want to talk to somebody, you just turn your head and speak to the guy close to you. But this is something that I missed. I think these are the most challenges that I faced so far.
So Luigi, I was going to ask you if the Irish accent becomes easier after you drink like a Guinness.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have this experience yet because when I started living here and when I get used to the city, coronavirus came and I had to stay at home.
Oh my God.
But I think it will become easier after some years.
Okay, guys.
Débora, if I may, I'm gonna tell a story. Like just came to my mind. It didn't happen to me. Okay, it was somebody else.
Okay, we're going.
I think I think it's funny, right? So there was this person who I knew pretty well. She was transferred as well to like Florida, Fort Lauderdale, from Brazil. But in her case, she didn't know. Well, she actually knew English, but she had like this stink, like in her, like this block that she wouldn't speak, right? Even though she could like write in English, when it came to speak, it would not come natural to her. And when we were working over there, like at Citi, for you to like dial internationally, you have to start by putting like the number 9 to open the line, and then we would put like the international code and everything. So if you had like to dial to São Paulo, for example, right, you would have to put like 9 and then like 55 and then 011, which is the code for São Paulo. And she got confused. She was at her home by herself, and she was trying to call somebody in São Paulo in Brazil. And it's just like trying all the combinations, but putting the 9 in front of the number, thinking that she was supposed to use the 9. And then she ended up like dialing 911, which is how you call the police and the firefighters, right? And then they answered the phone, and it's like saying, "What's your emergency?" And then she wouldn't say anything, right? And then they thought that something really bad was happening, right? So they sent like all the police cars,
Oh my God!
the fire trucks.
Poor her. I can imagine. Guys, people are asking about the first step to apply for a job abroad. Can you give us some tips?
Yeah.
Okay. In my case, it was like an international transfer while I was already working at Citibank in Brazil. So I didn't really apply for a job abroad. Like in that sense, I was more like, I was very like opening since the beginning, telling my managers, telling everybody that I was interested. And then when the opportunity came, then I was interviewed by some folks in the US, and that was how the transfer happened.
Okay, nice.
I think I have some tips. First one, I believe that if you want to apply for a job abroad, you need to make like a project. You know, you have to treat your dream as a project. So you need to be specific. You need to draw a schedule, select one country, and be focused. Okay. Once you have this in mind, I think you need to understand very well the legal requirements to work on that country. For example, Ricardo had the green card, right? So I believe that he at that time he was able to work in America.
Yeah.
So
Yes, 1 minute. There are some questions about the green card, Ricardo. So after that, you can explain or give some tips.
Okay, sure.
and if you want, for example, to work in Europe, you need to have a European citizenship. Or there are other ways, of course. You can look at your university or somewhere that has any program that bring you to others country. So after you understand the legal requirements and you see that you can meet, you can you should list everything you need to do, like a checklist, and start checking the box. You know, sometimes it could take 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years. For example, if you are Brazilian, you don't have a European citizenship, but you work in a multinational, international company. You can look for a job inside your company, you know, in the US or in Germany, whatever. And the last tips, I would say that you need to close your gaps. So you see your CV, okay? You go to LinkedIn and you start searching for jobs in Italy, for example, and you see there that you have 10 requirements out of 15 that open position demands. So you need to close that 5 that you don't have. You become more competitive. So as long as you have all these things very clear in your mind, it's just a matter of train and apply for jobs, do interviews, and you get there.
I echo what Luigi is saying. I think that he explained very well. Like if you want like a career international, of course, you first of all learn English, right? Learn the English for that particular role, the particular area of expertise, and then like do the research about the skills you need. Like you can, even if you're not ready yet, you can like look for similar jobs. Let's say you want to work for Amazon or for Google, right? Go there to the website, see like what they're looking for. And if there are things that you don't know yet, right? Try to learn them.
Okay. Washington, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry. We have a lot of questions here, and another one is similar. It's about the skills. How do you think about the skills? What skills is necessary to development to work abroad, beside the English, of course?
Mhm.
I think good skills are, for example, global certification that you can tell the interviewer that you have and knows what you are talking about. You don't need to explain what type of certification you made in Brazil or whatever. For example, I am a project management professional certified by Project Management Institute. When I came to the interview, if I just say, okay, I'm a PMP, the interview will know because it's a global brand. So if you wanna study, spend your time, try to get some global certifications, that is recognized everywhere that you go. A good tip that maybe you guys can put in your curriculum and take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I'm seeing where I work, right, in the financial industry, it's a lot about like being able to also work with data, right? Being like a data scientist, data analyst, data engineer. And there are like many courses online that you can take, many certifications that you can take. So that's actually is very valued over here. If you can like also, it's in high demand here. Like if you have like programming skills as well, right? It's in high demand in the US. People from China, from India are coming to fill that gap. And Brazil also have like very good programmers, so that's also a good opportunity, right? Again, like you need to look at what you want to do, right? We can like talk about a bunch of stuff that we know, which is maybe particular to our particular role or where we work, but I think each one of you needs to look at what you want to do, right? Like where you see yourself, then look for similar jobs, and you can find like job postings everywhere, right? Like go to the internet and start looking for what people are looking for those jobs, and you start like learning those things and showcasing those things if you already know.
Yeah.
I always tell my students that when they ask me about learning English abroad, I say that you don't have to learn English abroad. You have to learn English here in Brazil, and you have to learn through English. When you go abroad, you have to learn through English. So that's how you improve your English and also improve your CV. When you learn through English, you learn skills that you need for your job in English. You improve your English and also your CV.
Yeah, Deborah, I fully agree with you. I hear a lot of people saying that, oh, I need to go to Canada, US to learn English because my English is not good. So, and I saying that, guys, if you want to learn English, it's just a matter of invest your time with English. So you can do, online courses, call somebody that speaks English, listen radio in English that like BBC, CNN. So the more important thing is to be in touch with English every day, and at least, I don't know, an hour, 30 minutes, but every day you have to have consistency.
And I have some tips. Attend the events like this. Every month we have this event.
Good point.
Yes, that's how English language is changing now. When we start learning English, we all, because that Luigi is younger than us, but it was through English courses. But nowadays, when we English teachers meet, we know that the way to learn English, it's learning through English.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, guys.
You have another question here from our attendant. Yeah, we have a polemic question about the equity. It's about the humans and the work in the United States and UK. It's equal when you work. It's the number. The number. Abroad. Yes, the number of the woman is like the man, or it's equal Brazil, completely different.
The position in your company.
So I can talk a little bit about the US, right? In the US, yes, there's a gap as everywhere else in the world, right? So, or most countries in the world. And the gap is like in women in senior positions. And there was also like a huge pay gap, like where the women doing the exactly same function as the man was like earning less, right? I think some effort to start maybe 2 years ago. When was the Me Too movement? It was like 2 years ago, 1 year ago. I can't recall, but like when that started, like they started like talking about like, you know, the gender pay gap, and many companies in the US, they started sharing like what was the pay gap. So saying, okay, so in this company here, the women on average, they make like 80% of what men make. And when they started showing like that information, right, providing transparency, that drove accountability. So the company said, okay, so that's my reality. I don't like that, right? We need to fix this. And we are going to put a plan in place that, you know, next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, is going to get better. And now every year they show that there was, you know, some progress had happened, right? So to reduce that pay gap, but it still exists. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Northern Ireland, well, at my work at Terex, I see more men in higher position than women. However, things are changing because there are emails from the president promoting like women have a chance to then to speak about career, to incentivize, to motivate another women to get higher, you know. So I think this movement is happening at my work, definitely. And I can tell in my department specifically is very balanced. My boss is a woman, and below her there are 2 senior engineers. That's me and another woman. And below us there are almost half. So inside the quality team is really balanced. But when you see the overall picture, I see more more men in higher positions.
Yeah, as all around the world.
Yes.
Washington, another question that you'd like to ask?
Yes. I have.
Be my guest, my dear.
Yes. Marília Cecilia asked about it's possible to only go to United States or UK and without job, and okay, Gary on and start to work. It's possible to go without job, and this way to found some job. It's not illegal. I think the the question
Yeah.
don't talk about illegal. I think it's legal.
No, it's not about illegal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maria.
I was going to ask that. Yeah. So legally, I'm going to talk about the US. I don't know about Europe. Like Luigi, I guess you can cover Europe, right? In the US, for you to work here, you need to have like a visa that allows you to work. So if you come here like just with your tourist visa, and if you work, that's illegal. So you cannot do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can, but you shouldn't. Yeah.
I think, well, what I meant was if I go as a tourist and it's easy to try to get a job, like to try to find one and then come back, get a visa for work, and then.
Okay. Yeah, you
Right.
can. I have seen that happening. Yeah, so you can come as a tourist, then you find like a company that you like. You apply for a job over there, right? You interview people from the company like you. This company may decide to sponsor you. So in other words, this company is going like to pay or to sponsor your visa, eventually your green card. So that also happens. Yes, it's possible.
Yes. Yes, my experience is whenever I was doing interviews in Europe, the first question was, do you have a European citizenship? And I remember that some interviews at the time, I didn't have the citizenship. And it was like frustrating for the interviewer because he was expecting that I had, since I put my address Italy and so on. So, but you're right. You can come, try to find a job here. However, you need to find some company that want to sponsor you. So you have to have a very good skills that that should be very appealing for them. So they want to hire you instead of a local guy here. So why should I hire Maria Cecilia instead of one guy here that have similar skills? So I think this is very important, if you have a very good experience or some skills that you can benefit on that, you really can find a job for sure.
Yeah, and Maria Cecilia, maybe I would say like you also need to travel to the other country, right? To start looking for those jobs and talk to those companies, right? You can try to contact them while you're still at Brazil, right? Show your interest, maybe apply for some roles. Some of the roles you may find when you look online, they're very clear saying, this role here, we're not going to sponsor visa. But this one, some of the roles they say like, we are going to be sponsored transfer, we're going to sponsor visas. So you can apply for those roles while you're still at Brazil, right? And then eventually you could travel to the other country for like a face-to-face interview if needed.
Yeah. Yes. One thing that is very appreciated by the interviewers is the cover letter. It's very rare that to apply for a job that you don't present a cover letter. So if you have a very good cover letter that express your willingness to work on that company, it can attract the interviewer, and they may call you, although you are in Brazil, although you don't have a green card or whatever. But I think to have a very good cover letter open many doors.
Really nice. Okay, Washington, would you like to ask another question from the students? Open your audio, dear. Please.
Sorry. Another question is about your experience, the personal experience about the first job interview you have abroad. How is this?
How was
experience?
it?
Yes, how is it?
Okay, I'm gonna tell like not about the first, because the first one was a little bit easier because the manager was Brazilian. The hiring manager was Brazilian. But like when I was in Florida and I interviewed for the role in New York, I was interviewed by like 6 people in one day over the phone. 2 were Indians.
Oh, Indians are really nice.
Yeah. There was an Irish woman, Luigi. And then 2 Americans. So it was not easy, right? To be honest, because first of all, like it was over the phone, right? Too many different accents. It was for a long time, but what I would say is like it's very good to prepare for those things. So you go before the interview, right? You already know what the job's about. You already know like what type of questions people usually ask, right? So already think about those possible questions, write them down, practice them, write the answers for them, and come prepared because the preparation is going to help you a lot, right? So that would be my advice.
Yeah. Well, my first interview was when I was in Italy and I applied for a job in Milano. And I failed, you know. Although I could perform well, at the end of the meeting, the interview, the guy asked me to speak a little bit in Italian, and my Italian was not so good, so I couldn't make it. And my second interview, I did well, and it was at Terex where I'm working. But Ricardo told very good tips. I remember that I went through the position at LinkedIn, and I write down every single requirement, and I came up with questions that could be asked for me. And believe me, they asked me everything that I put on the paper. So I think the preparation, as Ricardo said, make a huge difference. And I could succeed and I could make it. So this was my experience.
And Débora, I can also add, like from the other side, like, you know, I also interview like lots of people, right, in my current role that are applying to work with us at Goldman Sachs. And yeah, like the questions, they don't change much. So usually the interview, the first question would be like, you know, tell me about your experience, tell me about your career, right? So come prepared
Even
to
here.
talk about, come prepared to talk about what you did before, right? Like if you ask that question, the person's like, I don't, let me see, which year was that? Or it's like saying something that doesn't match with the resume, right? You say like, something's wrong here, right? It's like, so that would be the first thing. Then like things like, you know, why do you want to work for this company? Right? Like think about this, research the company, right? You go.
Yeah, you should know about the company that you were.
Why do you want to work for this company? And the person says, you know, I heard Goldman Sachs is a good bank. No, you have to know about the values, why, you know, what's special about this bank, right? And also, I would say like a good tip is also come with good questions for you to ask at the end. So when the interview goes to like, you have any questions for me? If the guy goes, no, I don't have questions, I'm good. No.
And this, yeah, and
if you
this,
are interested, you must have questions, right?
I remember that in this interview that I made in Italy, happened with me. At the end of the meeting, of the interview, the guys, do you have any question for us? And no, I think you guys explained everything. Thank you very much. But I was wrong, and I learned that if you want to really join that company, you probably have at least one question about the job, about the company, how does it, how they work, you know. So yes, I fully agree, and the preparation, guys, believe me, is very key, very key.
And here in Brazil, when you say, I guess that it's a tip, I work with people that come up to me to ask to prepare in English. I need English to this job, whatever. And a tip here is when you don't speak English, don't tell that you speak, okay? If you only say, you can say McDonald's and something like that. This is not an intermediate level. And if you only say that in English, don't tell them that you can speak English, because they will notice that you can't, and you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Okay, and you, Washington, any other question here? Can I
No,
follow my steps?
if you have a question, be free.
Okay, so this is not exactly related to interviews and how was it for you, but how to deal when you miss your hometown, because living abroad, it's not only good things, you miss your family, your extended family here. I know that you were near your family, your wife and daughter, Ricardo, Luigi, I don't know. But what about your extended family here?
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think it's the hardest part of like living abroad, right? There is no word in English for saudade, right? People say like there's the verb to miss. They can talk about, I think you mentioned like homesickness. Some people say nostalgia. But it's not like saudade. Like when you really like miss the people, your family, the place where you're from, the waterfalls near Resende, right? That type of stuff, right? You know, it's hard. And what's even harder is like you mentioned that I have two daughters. They're born here. They're being raised here, and it's tough to raise them so far away from the grandparents, right? So we try to travel sometimes. Now with the COVID, things got like very complicated, but like we try to travel, but like we travel like maybe once, 2 times per year. That's not enough, right? And the time's passing, right? So there's this constant struggle in our minds, my mind, my wife's mind, about like, are we doing the right thing? Is it really right for us, like to stay here because of our career, because of better opportunity, but like at the same time keeping our daughters away from the grandparents? So there's always this struggle, and we try to do things right. We try to do FaceTime, but I would say for me it's the hardest part of living abroad.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's not so far. It's not a big deal because I'm used to live far from my family since I was 17 years old. So I think I got used to it. But, of course, we always want to be close to our parents. And to mitigate this, I try to talk to my father and my mother, my sisters, at least once a week. We have a meeting every Sunday where everybody join so we can talk. So for me, so far, it's not hard so far, but let's see. Because as I said, I've been living here since January 2020. So let's see how it goes.
Oh, yes, you're Neil.
Yeah,
Abroad.
maybe let's see.
Maybe you're going to feel this homesickness that he's talking about. Okay, Washington, another question.
Yes, there are the last one here about the xenophobia. I think you already answered, but there are another question. Do you suffer some kind of
prejudice only because you're Brazilian?
Yes, only for you abroad, not only Brazilian. I don't know if you comfortable to ask.
I think maybe Luigi can also add to this, but like sometimes it's because it's terrible to say that, but like the way you look, right? People do not even know you're Brazilian yet. They just look at you and they assume like, you know, that where you're from, or like they become like this prejudice in their minds, this bias, right? I have stories like, for example, I went to Russia once. I did a Trans-Siberian trip from Moscow to Beijing in China, and one thing that happened to me was like a couple of weeks before my trip, there was like a terrorist attack in a school in the south of Russia, right? And the terrorist leader from Chechnya, he looked exactly like me, right? Exactly like me, like to a point that, you know, my girlfriend at a point in time, who's now my wife, she was like, you know, I don't think you should go to Russia, right? And then even my mother, she called me like, did you see that picture, right? It looks like you, right? So so I went there, and yes, like I flew to Moscow, passed immigration, everything was fine. I was thinking like, people are wrong, right? You know, nothing's going to happen to me. But when I was getting to the subway to go to the hotel, and I was carrying this big backpack, it was going to be like a long trip. I just like felt like a bunch of like hands grabbing me, like putting me on the ground, and it was like police officers. They put a gun on my face and started yelling at me, right? And they thought I was from Chechnya. And I remember that I said like the only sentence I knew in Russian, which was "Ja iz Brazili," which means I am Brazilian. And the guy said, if you're Brazilian, how can you speak Russian, right? And then I was in trouble, right? so yeah, so you're always going to face something, right? And it's the reality of the world, unfortunately. You know, people are trying to change this. There's so many things happening. You guys are seeing what's happening in the US, for example, with the Black Lives Matter at the moment. But like, everybody has a bias, unfortunately, right? And I don't know if you're going to see like a change to that in our generation. Let's hope for the next one.
Okay.
Well, at my second week working here, I felt like I was being prejudiced, because an engineer put a part on my table and said, "Oh, look, you think that's right? You need to fix it." And he just left. He didn't give me any chance to argue to him. And I thought that, oh my God, this is just because I'm Indian, you know? But in the end of the day, people came to me and said, "Luigi, don't feel sad because he did this with everybody." But my first reaction was, oh, it was because I'm Brazilian. If I were Irish or Britain, he wouldn't do that. So sometimes it's in our mind, you know. And this was the first thing that the first experience that I had. But in fact, I think people here are friendly. They don't are like I thought. So in general, I think people here are friendly. So far, just this experience, I think it was inside my mind, you know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? We have time? What?
No, unfortunately, I think we need to coming to finish this talk. So, Deborah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ricardo. Thank you a lot for your time, for your attention. Luigi, I miss you, my friend. So thank you for your time.
I miss you, my friend. Don't feel.
Thank you both for your time, for your attention. I know about the time. I don't know how time is here, but thank you. And Deborah, thank you for being our host. So few words for each one, and say bye.
Okay, thank you, Luigi. Nice to meet you. It was really nice to talk to you. Ricardo, was awesome. Okay, you should come to Brazil. Okay, I know that you miss Brazil, and you have to. I guess that you miss your friends too. So when you come here, we call Washington and Luigi, please.
Yeah.
Be my guest.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It was really nice. Okay. Thank you, my students that are here, and also the other students. It was really nice to be here with you today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here with you guys. So think positive. If you want to succeed with an international career, grab your dream and period. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. If you guys want to connect with me on LinkedIn, Deborah, feel free to share with everybody, like my contacts. Yeah.
I'll share with them.
If they have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, it's only 19 contacts you will receive in a few minutes.
Yeah, it will be nice. I don't think.
Okay. 19 CV for you. That's okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we'll finish here. Bye-bye.
It's a pleasure.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.